Most people think respect disappears after one obvious mistake. It doesn't. It erodes, slowly, quietly, structurally. At first, nothing looks different. You're still included, still acknowledged, still greeted the same way. But something subtle shifts. People interrupt you slightly more often. They consult you slightly less. Their tone becomes flatter when you speak. And the most dangerous part? You compensate. You become clearer, more agreeable. Believing effort restores position. But respect is not restored through effort. It's maintained through consistency of posture. And posture, over time, quietly drifts. Respect doesn't live in big moments. It lives in microsignals. Eye contact duration, pause timing, response weight, invitation frequency. The human brain constantly recalibrates hierarchy. Not aggressively, automatically. If you hesitate more than before, if your voice lowers slightly, if your answers become safer, the system registers that shift, not consciously, structurally. Hierarchy adjusts without announcement. Respect isn't about dominance. It's about perceived steadiness. And steadiness weakens when your internal certainty fluctuates. Fluctuation repeated over time becomes identity. And identity determines how seriously people respond to you. Most erosion begins with adaptation. You sense tension, you smooth it, you sense disagreement, you soften it, you sense disapproval. You reduce yourself slightly. Each reduction feels minor, almost invisible. But reduction accumulates, and the more you adjust downward to preserve harmony, the more the room adjusts upward without you. You think you're being mature, easy, strategic. But over time, excessive adaptation signals something else. It signals that your baseline is negotiable, and negotiable baselines lower structural authority. Predictability feels stable, but excessive predictability feels light. If people know exactly how you'll respond, they stop bracing for your reaction. And when no one braces for you, your presence loses friction. Friction isn't conflict, it's influence. It's the subtle anticipation that your position matters. When anticipation disappears, respect thins. Not because people dislike you, but because your behavior no longer shifts outcomes. Outcomes determine weight, and weight determines whether someone instinctively defers or casually overrides. Being liked and being respected are not the same. You can be liked for being agreeable, accessible, non-threatening, but respect requires something heavier. It requires internal standards. Standards create edges. Edges create boundaries. Boundaries create recalibration. Without recalibration, your role becomes background support. Background support is appreciated, but appreciation is not authority. And authority is what protects long-term positioning. If your identity becomes easy to work with, but never structurally necessary, your relevance begins to thin quietly. Over time, people don't confront you. They reclassify you. You move from decisive to agreeable, from influential to cooperative, from central to supportive. Supportive sounds positive, but structurally, support is secondary. When your primary identity becomes assistance instead of direction, authority shifts elsewhere. No one announces it. It's an unconscious redistribution of weight. Humans constantly rank stability and impact. If someone else introduces stronger direction and you introduce smoother compliance, the system reorganizes around them. Respect erosion often begins internally. The moment you start second-guessing yourself more frequently, your delivery changes. You soften statements into questions. You over-justify decisions. You dilute certainty with disclaimers. Small hesitations accumulate, and hesitation communicates evaluation. When you evaluate yourself publicly, others subconsciously join the evaluation. Confidence doesn't require arrogance, but visible uncertainty invites recalibration. And recalibration rarely moves upward. It stabilizes around the most consistent signal in the room. Consistency builds authority. Fluctuation weakens it. Another silent erosion happens through over-availability. Instant replies, immediate agreement, unlimited access. Availability feels generous. But scarcity shapes value. When someone knows they can access you anytime, your time loses psychological cost. Cost creates weight. Weight creates deference. Without cost, interaction becomes casual. Casual. Interaction reduces perceived hierarchy. Hierarchy isn't about superiority. It's about influence bandwidth. If your bandwidth feels infinite, your signal feels diluted. Dilution, repeated, becomes normalization. And normalization lowers instinctive respect. Comfort strengthens relationships. But excessive comfort weakens positioning. When you remove all tension from interaction, others stop monitoring their behavior around you. Monitoring is subtle respect. It's the micro-adjustment people make when they recognize weight in a room. If no one adjusts around you, your influence is low. Adjustment signals awareness. Awareness signals hierarchy recognition. Hierarchy recognition protects long-term authority. When comfort becomes complete predictability, respect begins to flatten. There's a simple structural test for erosion. If you disappeared from the dynamic tomorrow, what would shift? Would decisions slow down? Would tension increase? Would direction become unclear? Or would everything continue smoothly? Respect correlates with structural impact. Impact isn't loud, it's directional. If your absence creates no directional gap, your influence was already thinning. People don't consciously measure this. But social systems always adjust to directional stability. If someone else provides stronger direction and you provide smoother compliance, the system protects direction. Now we escalate toward reversal and restoration, the part that transforms passive viewers into engaged followers. Restoring respect doesn't require confrontation. It requires stabilization. Stabilization means speaking in statements, not constant disclaimers. It means pausing before responding, instead of reacting instantly. It means allowing disagreement without racing to dissolve it. These shifts are small, but small shifts reintroduce weight. When your tone slows slightly, others slow with you. When your response becomes measured, others measure their approach. Measured pacing communicates internal alignment. Alignment creates gravity. Calibration happens when people adjust around you. If they speak more carefully, if they check assumptions, if they confirm before deciding. Calibration has returned. You didn't demand it. You reintroduced internal certainty. Certainty doesn't shout. It stabilizes, and stabilization increases perceived authority over time. Respect grows where behavior remains anchored, not where behavior fluctuates with every external signal. One of the strongest restorers of respect is non-reactivity. Not silence, not withdrawal, controlled response. When someone challenges you and you remain steady, you communicate internal hierarchy. Reactivity signals insecurity. Steadiness signals structure. Structure attracts deference. Deference builds sustainable authority. Authority over time prevents erosion, because erosion thrives where structure is soft. Intensity doesn't build respect. Consistency does. You don't need dramatic speeches. You need repeated signals of alignment, clear standards, measured tone, stable boundaries. When those remain constant across situations, your social weight solidifies. People begin adjusting preemptively. Preemptive adjustment is embedded respect. Respect doesn't disappear because people change. It erodes because signals change. Small hesitations, small reductions, small adaptations. Repeated long enough, they redefine your position. But position is not permanent. It's responsive. When you stabilize internally, the system stabilizes around you. Because social structures always organize around the strongest, consistent signal. Over time, erosion lowers you quietly, but consistency restores you gradually, and gradual restoration is stronger than dramatic dominance. If you felt this erosion before, the real question isn't who stopped respecting you, it's this: when did you start negotiating your own baseline? Because respect doesn't disappear randomly. It adjusts to the signal you repeat most, consistently. And if you want to understand the silent behavior that lowers your structural weight in the first place, watch the next video.